Hello, good to see you. Hi, Vahur. Hello, everybody. Obviously, I'm not Antonella Fresa, who was supposed to deliver this presentation for you, but I am happy to present to you this project, PAGODE, Europeana China. We heard before from Carlotta about this massive work that is done at the level of institutions to aggregate their data to Europeana, but that is only a part of the story. Indeed, the very question is how to deliver this mass of content to interested audience. And PAGODE was exactly one of the projects funded by the European Commission to support the enrichment and the user experience in Europeana. This project has just ended. It was concluded in September, and it was a project about Chinese and China-related heritage in Europeana. So what we wanted to do is to highlight Chinese heritage as part of Europe's cultural history of trade and exchange, because Europe is not isolated. No, we are a big country with relationships towards the rest of the world. And by knowing these exchanges towards China, we wanted to encourage a better and different understanding of the relationships between East and West that across time happened in history. The project was not a very big project. As you can see, we had a few partners and a number of associate content partners with whom we established collaboration to deliver interesting collections about Chinese heritage that are hosted in European cultural heritage institutions. As I mentioned, the scope was to enrich Europeana with this very peculiar type of heritage that is in Europe, but tells a story of different cultures and exchanges between cultures. And of course, we wanted to find ways to discover and curate these collections by supporting tools and methods for annotations and semantic enrichments. And then, of course, we wanted to showcase all this beautiful content that we discovered. So the first bit of the work was really about metadata. And in order to understand the best metadata to depict in the Europeana data model these Chinese heritage objects, we wanted to understand what is meant with this idea of Chinese heritage in Europe. And for this reason, we had the great support and knowledge of the Department of Asian Studies at the University of Ljubljana, who developed this definition and conceptual scheme about what is Chinese heritage in Europe that constituted the semantic background with which our content partners, who were not necessarily super expert of Chinese heritage, could annotate and create their metadata. Also, the work included the definition of keywords list for metadata specification to be used in creating the metadata and in enriching and annotating them. And in fact, we used this list in these three ways to support the content providers while they created their metadata, to enable automatic semantic enrichments via tools that are based on artificial intelligence, and to support a series of events about collecting annotations from the crowd. So crowdsourcing annotations that were delivered via easy-to-use tools. This definition was based on the concept that there are flows of people, of objects, and of concepts, ideas, practices that went across the relationship between Europe and China. This is a brief example of the keywords list. The keywords were defined by expert sinologists, and links to Getty and to Wikidata entries were attached to these keywords. Where the Wikidata entry did not exist yet, we created. So we not only enriched the records that we delivered to Europeana, but we also created a vocabulary that can also be used by other institutions and other archives which own Chinese-related collections. Well, very quickly, these are the numbers from this work done by the University of Ljubljana, and this vocabulary that is available, everybody can access it on the PAGODE website, covers various topics, historical periods, the entire world of ceramics, textile and furniture, photography, etc. This vocabulary was actually a collaborative work, and indeed, guided by the knowledge of the sinologist, we discussed it all together in a semantic workshop about the creation of this vocabulary of terms about Chinese heritage. As I said, the metadata were either created by content provider or enriched with this new vocabulary via the use of automatic tools, and also we did an action for crowdsourcing. Yes, this is basically the same concept. We also had the technical workshop organized in, was supposed to be organized in Athens, but COVID prevented us to travel, to discuss the quality improvement of these collections of objects, very varied types of objects, in order to give to Europeana high quality collections. As I mentioned, we run also annotation campaigns about 3 big topics, where we invited curators, Europeana aggregators, other content providers, students in Chinese studies to view images that are in Europeana and to add keywords, selecting from a controlled vocabulary of this keywords list to these objects. It was a big success. We had a lot of participation and we delivered a lot of new enrichments to these collections in Europeana. The validation of these enrichments, because I know that there are concerns about the enrichments that are added to collections in Europeana, included a human-in-the-loop format where the annotations and the enrichments either added by human people from the crowdsourcing or added by artificial intelligence were reviewed and validated by a team of curators. So we can say that the enrichments offered in Europeana via PAGODE is reliable and is valid and well curated. Yeah, these are the numbers of the project, which was very successful. And well, now it's time to show these collections. The results of PAGODE are highlighted in a dedicated page in Europeana. You can see the URL in this slide, and this page will let you in this totally new world for many of us, because I honestly have no idea that, for example, we had such a richness of objects and stories that tell about the history of exchanges between Europe and China. And in this page, in Europeana, you can really enjoy these very nice collections. And yeah, as you can see, really a variety of materials, from early photography to museal objects to engravings and gouache paintings. In the page, you will also find a number of nice stories of blogs that we created in an editorial team at the project. Yeah, this is an example. A lot of nice galleries, which is a lightweight way of showcasing this content. Yes, I will be a little more a little quicker. We also developed a virtual exhibition about Chinese heritage that you can enjoy in Europeana. It is composed of 7 chapters, and it is really nice. The virtual exhibition setting in Europeana is nice for showcasing the stories behind the cultural collections that we share in Europeana. So it is really a nice way of engaging users with the collections. We also did a lot of events, among which a final conference, which was supposed to be hosted in Brussels by KIKIRPA, but unfortunately, again, COVID was against us. We published a book. This book is available also as a PDF, downloadable from the PAGODE website. It is a nice book. It was appreciated by many, both expert and non-expert in the China heritage topic. And just to give us a little joy, we were able to organize a small physical event in Pisa at the very end of the project. As you can see, I said we ended in September. So we organized this very small event in Pisa, hosted by the Museo della Grafica, who is a partner of my organization, PHOTOCONSORTIUM, since many years. And we presented the virtual exhibition and the book. To conclude, yes, I can say that you are all very welcome to visit the project website and most of all the Europeana page about Chinese heritage, because that is really a nice way to see how to reuse these cultural collections that we are all aggregating in Europeana. My presentation is concluded, so if you have any question, I'm happy to reply.
Thank you. Yes, so actually we have time for discussion. I start myself right away. So as I'm also working in the field of crowdsourcing, I was wondering what platform or what tools did you use for this crowdsourcing work?
Yeah, we used the platform that was developed in another EU-funded project. The platform is Crowd Heritage. It was developed by the National Technical University of Athens, and it is a nice and easy to use tool that enables even non-expert people to participate in this effort of engaging and enriching our common European heritage. I believe, Vahur, that you know crowd heritage, but in any case, the platform works like this. A curator, in our case, it was our curator from PHOTOCONSORTIUM, selects collections from Europeana. These collections are sort of imported in the platform, and the users can browse through the images, and they have a small box with a drop-down menu that shows, you can type the beginning of a word, and you can get the results from thesauri, from controlled vocabularies that will be attached, so to say, to the object. When the campaign is concluded, as I say, there is normally a round of validation of these annotations. And depending on the amount of items that you are working with, you can either choose to do validation on a percentage of items. In the case of PAGODE, as the size was smaller, we decided to validate one by one all the annotations from that we collected from the crowd. And to be honest, we have to say that this way of controlling the annotations that users add is effective, because we were forced to discard a very, very limited amount of keywords which were not relevant to the object. So indeed, this combination of controlled vocabularies and human-in-the-loop validation really helps to get a high confidence for these crowdsourced annotations.
Thank you. And was this crowdsourcing open for like a wide audience, or was it quite targeted call for participation in the crowdsourcing?
Well, we did both in the sense that we actually engaged the networks of the consortium partners, of course, and in particular, we could leverage on really competent people from the faculty of, from the Department of Asian Studies of the Ljubljana University, curators and cultural heritage experts from the network of PHOTOCONSORTIUM. PHOTOCONSORTIUM is the accredited aggregator for Europeana in the domain of photography, and in our network there are many important institutions and Europeana partners. So we had the possibility to engage a lot of really expert people, but we also wanted to have citizens in the loop. So the campaigns were actually publicly open, and we shared the information so that if somebody wanted out of the blue to participate, they were allowed. In our experience with this project and also others, people are normally eager to participate. They really want to add their little bit, of personal bit of story in the bigger picture of European history. So I think that this is really a participative approach, and I know that you are, Vaur, working very intensively with this and with great success.
Thank you. We also have one question on Workshop. So when creating Wikidata entities, do you add reference information? If yes, what kind of resources do you use as references? It's quite specific.
Yeah, it's very specific, and I can reply in rather general terms, because this activity was done, as I mentioned, by expert sinologists at the University of Ljubljana. So if they were here, they would be better than me to reply to this question. But certainly, this is another tricky point, because everybody can really add entries in Wikidata and in Wikipedia, but the idea of the network controlling itself is a bit weird, because you really need to create keywords that are reliable in this very big pot, where everybody can put their information. So I would say that indeed the keywords that were added in Wikidata by PAGODE are certainly reliable and based on academic studies. Now, in more detail, what are the references? I cannot reply personally, but I can ask colleagues from the University of Ljubljana to provide this information. Perhaps I can add it in the question and answer tool for the session.
So, but to clarify, during your project, you also did Wikidata editing. So your team...
Number of Wikidata entries were added in Wikidata about Chinese heritage. So what was already there, it was there. What was missing, we added.
So I see no questions in the audience. I was also wondering, what would you... how would you conclude as a takeaway about the process? I mean, one thing is the project results, all this enrichment that you did, but what can you take away from this project that can be like main takeaways that can be applied in new projects and in this kind of collaborative initiatives?
Yeah, what I can say is also from an aggregator's point of view. What I can say is that cultural heritage institutions have in their mission this concept of preserving and sharing knowledge. But the amount, the mass of these collections, both physical collections but digitized collection also, is becoming really impressive, and it is difficult also to sort of navigate. Also in Europeana, we heard before from Carlotta that currently they count 60 million items. So how would you imagine to handle this? How would you imagine to surf across this immense amount of data? So I think that what was really the strength of PAGODE was this idea of a very focused thematic framework. This meant that our content provider could seek for interesting items in their collections in a very precise way, and really take out of the collections the best of best. In order to showcase to Europeana. And this is really a big motivation for cultural heritage institutions, especially those who are not, the top players, no, or the big names, especially smaller cultural heritage institutions, very specialized archives. They really have hidden treasures, and they are just eager to find ways to share them. So this type of projects, which I really hope that the Commission will continue to fund in the next programs, is really successful because they offer a framework within which we can find and showcase really hidden treasures of European cultural heritage. And then, as I mentioned, the participation. The people is really eager to share, to participate, if they are allowed by the use of easy-to-use tools that help them to participate without needing exceptional digital skill or exceptional competencies. So this I would say. And as a final comment from the point of view of Europeana, this idea of the Europeana publishing framework, so really a number of requirements that cultural heritage object, I mean the content, and the metadata should meet for being published, the so-called metadata and content tiers. This is very useful because we know in the past, and I am a veteran of Europeana projects, in the beginning, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was this rush to digitization. Let's digitize no matter the quality, no matter the metadata richness. Then we understood that this is not the way to go. And one of the main struggles of Europeana, of us aggregators, of the content providers, is now to improve the quality of legacy records. And I think it is really important to think that this story of digitization is a process. And what now we consider high quality, due to the technology development and the fast pace of technology development, in 5 years or even more, will be no more usable, will be low quality. What today is tier 4 is tier 1 in 5 years. And so I think this is also very important. And Europeana has a leading role in this, I think.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much once more. So all the best, and another round of applause, please.